look at, and I love, Dale, some of the stuff you brought to the forefront today, I always look at people who are looking to shift in some way, whether they're thinking about it or they're in process. There are three real problems or challenges that can come up. One of them, you may have a strategy problem. What does that look like? You've got to look at that and take it down the path a bit to be able to come back and ask those questions that you never thought of before until someone said, have you ever thought of this? So there's a strategy component. Another component is a confidence problem or confidence component. And sometimes we know we're good at something. We know we can do it. We know that people have always worked with us because we're us, not because we have that product or that service or that company logo behind me. It was because of us. But we don't always give ourselves permission or feel confident enough to step into our own space. And sometimes we've got an engagement problem. We've got something good here, we've got a great strategy, we've got that confidence, we're ready to go, but we're just not getting the engagement. What's going on? What needs to shift? And I love that slide where what does sales mean to you? Because oftentimes, and it was fantastic, some of the positive words that came up, but oftentimes it's always the negativity, because that's just how our mindsets are bent in our society. What's going wrong instead of what's going right. No judgment, just awareness. But there's this wonderful opportunity when you kind of, again, clear your head of what you've known and walk into this new space that you're looking to step into with one thought. Stop selling and start helping. Those are very different things from a mindset perspective. And I want to touch on some of the stuff that's come up today here for just a few minutes. I look at this as there are three components how you do that. How do you stop selling and start helping? When you step into this space here, and again, some of those words came up. As soon as that guy came on the screen, that's the salesperson, everyone kind of chuckled. And even though we said, hey, profit, we said a lot of things that are more positive moving. The second that guy popped up, did you all go, been there, done that, know him? A couple of you voiced it, right? And did you immediately shift gears into, yeah, that's what I actually meant, but I was looking for more positive things to say. That's how it's viewed. The beauty of it is, this doesn't work anymore. So just push it to the side. This doesn't work. And there are three ways that you move from selling to helping that up your strategy, up your confidence, and up your engagement almost instantly. And so the first thing that I want to share with you, and again, I'm going to go into some examples that were shared here already this morning. Give it away. Now let me explain what I mean by that. Because when we often think give it away, and we touched on this earlier a couple of times, the idea that if you're a giver, which anytime we're passionate about something or knowledgeable about something or we truly care about it, we're givers. We could talk about it for days. Givers need to set limits because takers never will. And so giving it away does not mean, here you go, and boy, now I can't monetize it. Of course I can't monetize it. I'm giving it all away. That's not what I'm talking about. When I talk about give it away, I'm going to go back to something Dale brought up earlier. That little video. Donna, you mentioned that little video. It is easier than ever to give it away in a powerful way these days. And what I mean by give it away is share something you know. Share something that will help someone else. And we're going to get to this a little deeper in a moment, and make sure you're sharing it as you. Not the person you think that audience wants to see. Who are you? You are your greatest superpower. Nobody is you. And that's what takes you from that average space to that 1 degree of separation. You don't need to be this different. You need to be that different. And the nice thing is you already are if you give yourself permission to be you and bring you back into the game and you back onto the table. That's the key. And a great example of how powerful this can be. Let's say you walk into a department store, and maybe you're looking for a new perfume or cologne. And you walk in, and there's 30 boxes. And they all look nice, and they're shrink-wrapped, and they're colorful, and they've got these beautiful pictures of bottles on them. And you walk in and you say, I'd like to try that. And the salesperson says, oh, well, here you go, that'll be $50. You say, well, no, I don't even know what it smells like. I'm not going to buy it for $50. Well, you buy it to figure out what it smells like. That makes no sense. I'm probably not going to buy that product. I'm probably not going to go back and buy anything else there. But what happens if I walked into that department store and walked up and said, I'd like to see what that smells like? And they go, sure, here's a sample bottle. Spray it. Oh, that's nice. Let me spray it on me. Yeah, that's nice. Let me leave and see what it smells like in a few hours. Now, if I like it, what am I probably going to do? I'm going back and I'm going to buy from that person because they let me try it. They gave me a sample. They gave me a taste of something. If I don't like it, what am I probably going to do? Come back to that person and try something else. Why? Because you got it. It's not the product. It's not the service. That experience is worth its weight in gold. And that's you. You know, it used to be, again, when you're in the selling space, it's all about the product, the service, the things, you know, the testimonials. Look, I have 17 people. Look at these testimonials. You'll love that scent. Greatest smell ever. It lasted for hours. Everyone says it. That's why you should buy it. No, nobody needs to buy something anymore. I can hop onto my phone, go into Amazon right now, probably buy any product, get any service for a decent price, decent quality, and I can probably have it at my house by the time I get home. If we're still competing on things like products and service and price points and things like that, you're out of the game. Now the beauty of that is, the power of that is, you don't have to do that. Let those people compete. Let them compete, that's okay. That's exhausting. That's exhausting and it doesn't get you far. But when you stop competing and you begin getting into a cycle of collaborating, of creating, of sharing, people are sampling constantly. And whether you have the thing at that moment they need or not, they're coming back to you. I'll give you another example. This happened just a few days ago. Got home, pushed a little button on my car to open the garage door, nothing happened. Go in, my husband later came home and said the garage door didn't open. Go into the garage, click it, it opens up. So the garage door opener works. None of our clickers worked all of a sudden. So we go out and we look, okay, how do you reprogram the transmitter, right? We follow the instructions and hold all the buttons and all that, and nothing works. Now, at that moment in time, we could have gone, oh, right, we need to call somebody who does craftsman work, we need to, whatever, we need to figure that person out, let's get the tech out, let's find out what's going on, do we need to replace the unit, do they just need to fix something, do they need to replace, we took all the batteries out and replaced them. But I didn't need to do that. What I needed to do was go, hang on, Google. My transmitter on my craftsman garage door isn't opening. How do I fix it? And guess what happened? This guy's video popped up. We'll call him Bob. I don't remember what his name actually was. But Bob, who's now bookmarked in my phone, helped me. Because Bob came on and said exactly this with a very short video. I don't know if it was even 2 minutes. Hey, your garage door's opening because you can do it with the thing, but your transmitter's not working. There are only 4 possible things that could be going on. Let me walk you through the troubleshooting. And what Bob said is, here's the first thing. Open it up, check the battery, put a new battery in. Does it work? No, check it off your list. That's not it. And he walked me through. And the third one was, if you tried to follow the instructions to reprogram it, here's the challenge. They're very vague, but if you do it with a very specific timing, it works. So up here on the instructions, it said, push this button, hold it till it blinks. Okay, now take the thing, hold the button, hold this button, and click it until they blink. We did that 5 times, nothing happened. He said, do this. Go up and hold that button for 6 seconds. You ready? I'm going to count with you. Push it. 1, 2, 3. Count it to 6. Let go. Okay, now you got your thing in your hand there? Right, you got your clicker? Good. Go back up and hold that button for 2 seconds. Don't worry about the blinking that's happening. 2 seconds. Now, click your transmitter button, hold them both for 4 seconds. Go. 1, 2, 3. He said, now open your garage door. Click, and it opened. Now, in that moment, with a quick little share, here, let me problem solve something with you. You don't need me to come out and attack and pay a service fee and all that kind of stuff. Are you crazy? Let me help you. In that moment, what happened was, I've never met Bob. I've never talked to Bob. But Bob is now just not my tech, the tech guy that came out on the service call. Bob's now my trusted advisor. And those are completely different fields. Those are different spaces. A service tech could have come out and fixed that too, probably, right? And charged me $100 for a service call. Absolutely, and that's okay. That's an option. But Bob is now my trusted advisor. That's why he's bookmarked. And if something happens now where I need a handyman, Bob's getting a phone call, isn't he? Those are different spaces. Share. Stop selling. Start helping. Share. Now, when you do that, the nice thing is something else happens. When you're in the sales space, you're often initiating that conversation. Would you agree? Let me tell you about the benefits. Let me tell you, look at all these testimonials. Let me tell you how this works. Let me tell you what this does. Let me tell you what our competition does that we do better. Blah, 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 blah. We're always initiating a conversation. And it often starts to feel very quickly, push, 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 very quickly. But when you stop selling and you start helping, it's very pull, because what happens is, by sharing, you allow them to initiate the conversation. When you help that person problem solve, get to a place where, oh, I didn't think about that. Aha! Oh, you know what? We didn't try that. That would make sense. You took them to a place where their natural next piece of conversation with you is probably going to sound something like this. So how does that work? So walk me through the process. What does this cost? How does it, so tell me a little bit more. When they've initiated that conversation instead of you, you've engaged. And what happens now is, we've all heard that phrase forever. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. If you push, I don't know you, I don't like you, and I probably don't trust you, because there's a little bit of shystery wording in some of those words that were up before, right? I don't have a good feel right off the bat, even if you might have a great product and a great service and be phenomenal at what you do. The feel here is not where I want to be. I think one of the greatest quotes for any aspect of life, including business, Maya Angelou once said, people will forget what you've said, they will forget what you've done, but they will never forget how you made them feel. That is the most powerful thing. But when you step away from that selling mode and you get into the sharing mode, you let them say, please tell me more. How do I work with you? How do we do this? And that's powerful. You go from, you need this, to, I need this, and you're somebody who can take me there, or at least point and aim me in the right direction. That's what I need right now. I love that you said before, Donna, you said, wow, kind of this just in the moment thing that you said. You know, I'm kind of the top of the funnel where people are starting to think, and I can kind of throw some ideas at them and point and aim them. Someone like a Dale is somebody that, hey, as you come down that funnel, let's get some more clarity. Let's start walking through this. Walk it out a little. What does it look like? What could it look like? What might it look like? It might look just like what you want. It might look nothing like what you want. But you've got to walk that out a little bit in order to do that. This person can always point and aim you because they're sharing, they're problem solving. And if you think about it, all business is, it's problem solving. You can throw your product and service out the window. What do you do? You're a professional problem solver. You help people problem solve things within this realm. But it's all about the relationship. And we know that. That's not the first time I'm sure anyone in this room has heard this, and you probably know it full well. But what those things take you to in this space has to do, we mentioned brand a couple of times. This is not a good, bad, right, wrong thing. It's just an awareness thing. It's interesting how when you look at, remember the chart you had where it was, that's what the industrial age that we've just stepped out of look like? We're now in the information age, and it looks like this because it's so easy to learn something new or get new information or a skill set. Think about it. Back, 15, 20 years ago, if you wanted to learn something new and get new analytics and information, it could take months or years for a company to do that. Now it can take days, and you can get those analytics because you can reach people so easily and quickly where they are and get feedback back quickly. But people don't do business with businesses. They don't, and that's getting more and more that way. These are brands. A company is a brand, but your personal brand is what people do business with. And it always has. I guarantee anyone who's ever worked with any one of you here, they haven't just done business because you worked at a certain place, or you worked in a certain industry, or with a certain product, or do a certain service. They came to you because, one, they knew either you could help them, or two, if you couldn't help them, you'd probably be a resource. Because that's what people in this space do. Hey, I'm not the person for that, but you know what? You need to call Donna. You need to call Dale, right? You need to call anybody sitting in this room, right? Here's the go-to. And you think about it. If you need something now, used to be you open a phone book, right? You might even hop on Google if you need to. Oftentimes, how often now do you call someone and say, hey, do you know a plumber? You call your buddy. Hey, do you know somebody who does this work? That referral network, that whole concept. It's all about your personal brand. And that's absolutely key. You are your superpower. And no matter where you go, the beauty of it is you might change jobs, you might change titles, you might change industries, but guess what? The thing that was most important in people actually working with you is the thing that follows you everywhere, because it's you. And oftentimes when we throw a title on it, or a new industry, or a new job, something like that, we kind of try and acclimate a little bit to that space. Don't ever lose you. I know we're in a bit of a time crunch here, and I could talk about this for
I
hours.
understand where you are. I think you've opened up a few things, and I kind of want to see if we can have some conversation around a few things, and I'm going to throw something at you here.
Please.
You touched on a number of things. One is that there's research that I see that never seems to change, despite our change-charged world in the B2B space. And that is, at any given moment, about 10%, give or take, of the market is actively shopping for solutions at any given moment. This sway a little bit. The rest have problems. The rest have problems you might solve, but they have not decided or committed to solve them yet.
Or they don't know.
Or they may not know. They may need some education. So I think what happens, because I did sales training for the longest time at Experian, and part of it was hey, you can't pitch to someone that's not shopping. But here's the downside of shopping. If they're already shopping, what's the challenge there?
You don't know they're shopping.
Well, how do you know they're shopping? How do you know someone is actually shopping versus, maybe they call you, okay? But if they're shopping, they likely already have one person they're thinking about. And they might be reaching out to get referrals. Hey, Robin, tell me who else do you know that can do this? So your chances, IBM did all kinds of research, your chances of going in when there's an incumbent there and getting them to choose you is small, at 15, 20%. And you have to almost re-engineer the vision. They were solving A, you got to introduce A and a little B that the first guy didn't say. But I want to go back to this active shopping stage. If they're shopping, talk about solutions. If they're not, what do you do?
Be the person that helps.
Ask questions.
Yes.
Ask questions. It's discovering. It's discovery. It's not feature puking time. It's not like, let me throw my videos in front of you. Sorry to be so graphic, but it's discovery. Hey, tell me about your business. Where are things going well? Where would you like to see it go better? And that's the conversation. And I just watch and I just shudder sometimes because I think that if you acknowledge that 90% of them haven't committed yet, so you got to come at them in an entirely different way. And digital and the education piece you're talking about and the videos and stuff, that's the way so that they start finding you. And I don't know about you, Robin, because you have a lot of content out there. it has been 2 solid years of retirepreneur. Tom, your comment that you went to my website went, she doesn't stink. You know, I think I'll go to this workshop. She might know something. But it was a proof point that at least convinced you to invest a Saturday. Hopefully I didn't disappoint you. But it was like, yeah, this is going to be a conversation I want to have. It was 2 years before this has flipped, and now what's happening is people are calling me versus me having to call them, if that makes any sense. And it's not a tsunami. There's still an awful lot of work I'm doing. But now my phone's starting to ring, and it took 2 years of steady paying into the universe in smart ways to help, to be helpful, to educate, to demonstrate expertise, and then also to figure out what does this retirepreneur thing look like. So it's also understanding your value proposition, and mine was kind of being thought through as I moved ahead. But that education piece.
Yeah, and two quick thoughts on that. And there's a value to thinking it out and planning to an extent and putting those strategies together and what does it look like and all that stuff. But there's a danger in it's going to tell you what it looks like. You're never going to tell it what it looks like. And until you just go do, just start doing that. Time is going to pass anyway. The first few videos you put out, nobody's going to see them probably, right? Except your family, your what. That's great. The only way that you can figure out what it's going to look like is to just go do it. And it will tell you at some point. And the neat thing about that also is, you start to get validation. Not that that's what you're looking for, but all of a sudden someone says, oh, I saw that. That made me think about something. I never thought about that. You just shifted someone's life because you took 30 seconds on a video and said something that they went, oh, interesting.
That experimentation goes 2 ways.
Someone's life.
So you're talking about the affirmation, which I love. Yes. I don't get that enough. But
we love you, Don.
I'll get excited. No, you put something out there, like an article or a video, and there's times where it's like, oh, this is the red hot one. I know this is going to just go viral. 7 views. What? And then the thing you didn't expect was going to hit goes pretty strong. So this experimentation and being willing to I think there's risk. I think there's being humble. I don't know. I find it fascinating, and it does help me to kind of bit by bit refine. You guys, what do you think? When you hear this digital piece, what do you think? Not me, yes me. Putting out your thought leadership, whether it's in an article or a video, or now I'm doing. How many of you listen to podcasts? Anyone? I mean, podcasts is becoming actually our strongest channel of all, because it's stuff that busy people do. It's stuff for busy people to learn on their own.
Well, I'll make a comment. I think as you evolve and whatever that looks like, and I think as you tweak and edit, as you said, Robin and Donna, I think what that process looks like is you begin to develop a skill that identifies the needs of who you're interacting with. It's like I'm sure both of you have been asked to speak, and that you might say, Donna, you're an expert and you got this retirement thing going on, and one of the questions I ask as a qualifier is like, what does my audience look like? What are the participants? What do they do for a living? What is their age? Because a lot of times I open up a speaking engagement and ask, as you did, you went around the room, if I can better identify the needs of the people that have come or my participants, the better I'm able to hit their target. Because if I just stand in front of the room and spew all my knowledge, people walk away and go, yeah, Dale really knew what he was talking about, but I didn't come here for that. So I need to identify with people, and the only way to do that is, I think John says, you have to ask the questions. How can I help you? What are your needs? What are your challenges? And use your level of expertise to enrich them and identify a path going forward to overcome what that is. So it is always tweaking and adjustment. I mean, things don't stay constant very long, especially because of what's going on with technology. So you need to identify with that process.
And kind of tacking on to that, the beauty of it is, if we pull the memes out of the mix, whether you do it in some digital way, some non-digital way, The core piece does not change. It's you. And again, that's that personal brand concept. If you show up on a video, you better show up as you. If you show up in an article, you better show up as you. You know, oftentimes, and again, full disclosure, I'm a Gen Xer. Here's the thing. It's fascinating to have kind of come up at a time when we were on the other end of things, and then watch it come up, and then we are on the other end of things. And there was like this middle ground of, whoa, we have total growing up and experiencing both ends of that, which is kind of interesting. And there's a power to the non-digital aspect. I love you used an example earlier. I'll give you a similar one where you said I sent, told them send a quick little video. Mm-hmm. It makes you stand out this much. But that little tiny piece is enormous in the grand scheme of things. That little shift has a huge impact. The way I got my first job, I've reinvented myself 5 times, by the way. I'm not retired. I've not retired from any of those, but I, by choice, have reinvented careers 5 complete different times, successfully, 3 not successfully. The common denominator in the successes was I just took me into it and then learned the skill sets I needed to polish the edges, but this never changed. The times I tried to fit into something, it wasn't me. Of course it wasn't going to work. Of course it wasn't. And the first time I got my job in broadcasting, I spent a number of years in television news before I came to my senses and ran screaming from that industry. But learned a ton. It was a catalyst for what I do today. Totally different story for a different day, perhaps. But the way that I got my first entry-level reporting job for an NBC affiliate across the country was everyone was sending the identical thing. What's your resume and what's your audition tape? Send your odd tape in. Everyone is sending the same thing. So I thought, this is ridiculous. How do you stand out this much and get a phone call? Because that's all you have to do is stand out this much, but be authentic, be you. So I went to one of those Halloween stores, and have you ever seen they've got like the foot, it's like a foot in a pant leg, and people put it in their trunk or something, so it's like there's a foot hanging out, and it's like a life size. So I went and got that rubber foot, and I got a big box, and I packaged it with all kinds of filling paper and popcorn and stuff, and I put my audition tape, my resume, and that foot. And on top of that foot, so that when they opened the box, the news director saw as the first thing, now that I got my foot in the door, ... And guess what? Within 2 days of sending that and getting a return receipt that they received it, I got a phone call and I was traveling at their expense to come talk to them. Why? I may not have been the best candidate. I may not have had the best experience or have been in the best internships. It didn't matter. That little difference made the difference. And I ended up getting that job. That was my first intro into that industry. Not because I had so much knowledge or degrees or experience.
You were original.
I was original. And again, when you are yourself, think about when Donna asked everyone to introduce themselves earlier. Everyone, if you observe this, everyone started talking about, well, here's what I've done for 30 years, and blah, blah, blah. But you know what I'm really thinking of? And you lit up. And there was a smile, and there was like, whoa, the possibility, the opportunity. This is something I have an interest in. Whether it becomes something or not, I don't know yet. But whoa, the energy level rose. And then we get to the next person, and it fell a little bit. And then it rose, and it fell, and it rose. When you bring you into the picture, and you find what truly you get passionate about, you are excited about, regardless of which way you decide to bring that out, whether if it's in written word, whether it's video, whether it's audio, someone invites you to a podcast, or you decide to start one, it's a click of a button, you talk, you click another button, and it is published. The key is when you bring you to that mix, people can hear your passion, your energy. That is what engages people. Your strategy is great, your plan is great, all of those things are great. If you can't come out and go, whoa, here's what I love about this. Here's what this can do for you. That energy is contagious. And if it's not there, it does the opposite of what you needed or wanted to do. When it's there, you have total engagement and people see opportunities for themselves. And you're in this sharing space. And guess what? Who's going to get the phone call when they're ready? Because until someone's ready, they're not going to do something. This space lets you help them get ready. And the moment they are ready,